It's Indiana in the morning. It's WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160, WCCSradio.com. And good morning to you. Thanks for being with us here today. And in the studio with us, representing Indiana Borough. So we're going to have a bunch of people representing IUP basketball at Duquesne this weekend, or this afternoon. So I thought I'd give you the big build up there, Nicole.
Oh, good. Great.
Nicole Sipos, Indiana Borough Manager, with us today. And you brought Indiana's new code enforcement officer with you.
Well, our new Code Supervisor.
Okay.
Chris, yes. He's
correct.
new, about 2 months into it.
Yep.
Huh, Chris?
Yep.
Yeah, so he's getting updated with all our ordinances and going to work with all our residents. I'm saying, hey, Chris, come on the radio and tell our residents. Now it's getting into that time of year where, people are going to start doing some construction work. And so what do they need to do and what do they need to come see Chris for?
Yeah, Chris Fullerton is his name, and you've been around Indiana for a good long time?
3 years.
3 years?
Yep.
3 years? All right, well, it's good to have you. Where do you come from?
We came from Washington State, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So people keep talking about how Washington State has the reputation as the rainiest place, but it's actually Indiana Borough, Pennsylvania,
Yeah.
where it's the rainiest.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so on the west coast of Washington State, it's pretty rainy, but where we were from, it was considered desert, so we were pretty dry.
Oh, yeah.
So that's
You
a
were
big
pretty
part
good.
of the reason why we moved was we had a lot of wildfires and things like that to deal with. So we just didn't like being there around all that.
Well, I'm glad you came here.
He picked this town. What a great town.
Yeah, nicely
I
done.
love that story when he was telling us that. So
Our visit this morning is presented by Marcus and Mack, voted best law firm and best personal injury lawyer 4 years in a row in the Best of Indiana County contest. You can visit them online at marcusandmack.com. So, Chris, is it a big job to get to know exactly what the ordinances say and how they should be enforced?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to it and a lot of research and learning to make sure that we're up to speed on exactly every ordinance with the borough. But then on top of that, there's also property management codes and different building codes and things like that. So just making sure that we're here as a resource and to be as knowledgeable for the borough residents as possible, and just trying to do our best to make sure that the borough is a clean and safe place to live for everybody.
Yeah.
So.
Nicole, you know this. Some of these ordinances have been on the books for many, many years. I know that the borough is constantly seeking to make sure that they're up to date and that there are no conflicts from one ordinance to another, and that's an ongoing process.
yeah, and actually we're just Chris has Trajan. He needs to come on and do his own little segment. The planning is in the phase of updating the borough codes and stuff. And what's on that agenda, Chris? They're gonna have it's out for advertisement now. Isn't it?
Yeah, so it's the zoning ordinance update plan that he's been working on for the past couple of years, and the most recent iteration of that they started advertising yesterday. It's a 45-day review period for the public to be able to come in and take a look at the new plan and then make their comment on it. And they're planning on doing a hearing to finalize that around May. So borough residents can come into the borough and meet with Trajan and see the plan in person, and it will also be uploaded to the borough website so they can access it there.
Is there guidance in that as to what has changed from previous?
Yeah, so you'll be able to see what it was currently, and then what it will be proposed to change to. And then Trajan is also available as a resource if anybody has any questions.
Yeah. And when it comes to new ordinances, I think people might have a misconception about that. New ordinances must be decided upon by Borough Council.
Correct.
And approved by Borough Council. And so a lot of research goes into that, too.
Yeah,
I
and,
know that you work with
yeah.
other towns even to see what they do.
And a lot of public outreach too. This has been ongoing for a year and a half, 2 years. So a lot of outreach to see what the residents and what other communities are doing and comparing. And we had a consultant come in and work with Trajan and to get to the point where we're at. And then the changes are only to benefit the residents and that to make things a little easier. I would say contractors easy for.
Well, that's something that we need to get into now is what people can do in their homes. If you're moving the furniture around the living room, don't need to call the borough for that to make sure you have permission to do that. But there is certainly a role for the borough in deciding on those big projects that you're doing.
Correct. Yeah, so pretty much, as we get into the construction season, any big projects coming up, just reaching out to the borough. Most projects are going to need some sort of permit, and most permits are starting at around $30, and they can go up from there just depending on the extent of the work. Our kind of rule of thumb is anything other than painting or landscaping, you're going to need at least a property maintenance permit to complete that work. And some permits do require inspections, not all of them. But again, as we're trying to be a resource for the borough residents, we like to offer inspections, to have one of our code inspectors come out and take a look, get a second set of eyes on the work, and just kind of give residents a peace of mind of the work that was done.
So you're thinking a new roof, new windows, those sorts of things, anything that involves construction and physically altering the building itself.
Correct. Yep. Pretty much anything outside of painting and landscaping. Yep.
Yeah, you need to do that. We've talked about sidewalk maintenance quite
Yes,
often.
yes.
Is that something that falls
That's
under
still,
this?
yeah. So if your sidewalks, not meeting code and that, our code officers, you might get a letter saying you need to bring your sidewalk up to code. And again, we're working on that sidewalk
Yeah.
assistance.
Yeah, a lot of people might have the idea that codes are just nuisances in order for people to have some sort of undue control over what you can do to your property. That's not the intent of a code at all.
No, and that's
Keep
kind of a
people safe.
paradigm shift that we're hoping to make over the next year or coming years with the department, is to change that perspective of that we're here to kind of pick at people, but we're here as more just to ensure that we're providing a clean and safe place for all the borough residents and make it a great place to live for everybody. And a lot of times it's just opening that line of communication, and you may receive one of the notices from one of our code inspectors. And a lot of times, like I said, it's just trying to open that line of communication so we kind of know what's going on. So we're preventing things like rodent infestation and just trying to keep the borough clean overall. So
Yeah. The grass cutting ordinances will come into play here very soon.
Yeah.
We're getting out of the season where the sidewalk shoveling season
Yeah.
is ending, but right into grass cutting season. So.
Yep. Yeah, so again, just trying to make sure it's a nice and clean place for everybody to live. And if anybody ever has any questions, we're always here Monday through Friday, 8 to 4. They can come into the office or give us a call, and we're happy to help and educate in any way that we can.
Yeah.
Send us an email. There we have contact us. Get a hold of, if you need to get a hold of somebody. And also too, I know we talk a lot about like garbage and that, how the code is there just to support people and, talk about the garbage cans and what needs to be done and how they need to be stored. And again, all this information is either on our website or contact our code people.
That's one of the things, Chris, you'll be happy to talk to anybody about, if they have a concern. A lot of people, they've got trees on their property, and those trees, they get too unwieldy. They start to rot and die, and you get concerned about falling trees and falling branches. And those are the sorts of things that these are designed to help people understand,
Right.
If they fall
It's
under
a safety
right
issue.
away
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Yeah. And that's where Chris works well with our parks department, and that, these different departments have to work together to, when there's questions that might intertwine the two departments.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So there's a lot that goes into coming up with the codes, and enforcing them is a very important thing. Another thing that we think about are all the activities that happen for downtown Indiana and for people in the neighborhoods, making sure those fall into the code regulations.
Yeah.
Those regulations are there for a purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I want to put a big shout out to all the law enforcements this weekend. They had their hands full, and keeping kids off the roofs and that. Of course, those all fall under borough ordinances and that, and just being safe. And tell you what, that law enforcement, our police department, kudos to Chief Shaw and his crew. They did an excellent job. And then also on top of that, the code people came in Monday morning. They were out, and the town was cleaned up. So the groups that came out and cleaned up Sunday, they did an excellent job, and they take pride in our town. So, we like when IEP works with us and they get out there and clean up because they take pride in it. And so kudos to all that, and to our police department and all the law enforcement. They had a busy weekend.
Yeah. One of the interesting things to me about that is there are noise ordinances. There are property ordinances such as junked cars, and we were talking about grass and sidewalks and trees. And it's amazing how many different aspects there are to life, and how really there's a concern that what I'm doing on my property is going to affect somebody else and their property, or somebody even who's passing by. And the idea is, let's keep everyone safe. But you've mentioned several times, Chris, the idea of let's keep everything looking nice. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it's just, trying to do all that we can to make the borough a really good place to live, and just giving everybody the opportunity to take pride in where they live, and keeping things clean and safe for everybody in the borough, whether they're walking by or, kids kind of running around playing, and, just trying to make sure everybody's being safe. So.
Yeah. All right. So again, the display went up yesterday, right? The
new
Zoning
ordinance.
update,
Yeah.
yep.
zoning ordinance, they went up yesterday. Folks can examine those at the borough office or online.
Yes.
Or online.
Online. Yes.
They can certainly ask their questions then of you, Chris, or of Trajan or anybody else.
Yeah, and I'm sure Trajan and Jeff, they might be on here, just kind of going into some more detail. They probably like their own little segment.
Well, we can make that happen. We can make that happen. Let's go ahead and do that.
Yes,
Put that on the schedule.
let's get it out
All
there.
right, very good, very good. Anything else folks need to know?
I don't know, Chris.
No,
They're
we're
doing
good.
a great job. They're here to help, and they'll be out. Come, if they're thinking of a project, come talk to them.
There you go. There you go. You're having an event. You're making a change to the house, whatever it happens to be. You're happy to help.
Fences, if they need fences and stuff. So lots of stuff.
Yeah, and keep the grass mowed. Thanks both for coming in.
All right, thanks.
you.
Appreciate that. It is 9:24 in the morning. It's Indiana in the morning on WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160, and WCCSradio.com. Westwood One Sports coming up next, brought to you by S&T Bank, People Forward Banking.